I get so crazy when you walking by, boy. You spin me round and round and round like I'm a top boy. I get so crazy when I walking by, boy. You get me all around and round like I'm a top boy.
Hello,
Top,
everyone,
top,
and welcome to
top,
Artifacts.
top,
I'm your
top.
host, Marisa
Ladies
Dickens,
talk,
and today's guest is Los Angeles-based
ladies
director, DP, and puppeteer Ricky Chavez. Woo!
Hey, how's it going? I'm not, is this normally video mode? Is it gonna be largely sound, right?
Well, I usually just do audio, but you're gonna be the first person I do video because it's like
Cool.
I'm excited. It's a challenge for me because I always get just awkward in general. So
Great. It's
let's
it's
just do
something I'll
audio.
work through it with you because video is always a new thing. Like I'm gonna keep staring at this little thing in the corner. I don't
Yeah.
even know how to move it. I'm gonna learn a lot today about video. But
But thank you so much for coming on Artifacts today. I discovered you, well, shout out to my roommate Lauren, who works with Natalia. And Lauren's like, you should come to this show, Survival of the Filthiest. And I'm like, sure, I love the arts. Let's do it. I didn't know what I was signing myself up for, but I loved it. I went to two shows. I forgot the name of the first one, but I just went to the Gays of Our Lives too.
hmm
So good. Like they're both so good. But I saw that you were collaborating with her in the show and the puppetry, and I love puppetry. Okay, so I grew up with M the Muppets and Sesame
Heck
Street.
yeah.
Like Jim Henson is just like
I'm definitely a Jim Henson fanboy, and the worlds, at least the puppetry world that I live in, admittedly and unabashedly, are very much inspired by that. I would be lying to say there's like one or two other things that I draw from as well, but really, like my journey is relatively new, but it definitely, I love being in that world or th making things that are of that feeling. So, yeah, I like that a lot.
so I want to start from the beginning. Like where are you from? Did you grow up? Are you from LA? LA?
I grew up in Santa Clarita,
Okay.
and for people that are not in LA, it's essentially like 35 to 40 minutes north of Los Angeles, so it's really close. And I'm in the Valley now, which is essentially the dead middle of Santa Clarita and LA or Hollywood. So I grew up in Santa Clarita, and which in a way is LA. If you're from LA, it's not in LA, but if you're not, it is
Yeah. Yeah.
based off distance. And then I went to Cal State Northridge, in Northridge in the Valley, and then I've been in the Valley ever since. Yeah, so I'm. Yeah, I've been in Southern California my whole life, and I probably should know way more about where everything is, but I don't. So
That's
I'm learning
okay.
still.
I'm in Little Burbank. It's calm.
Yeah, you're in the Valley. I love the
Yeah,
Valley. The Valley
yeah.
is the best place ever. I want to be here forever, so it's great.
Yeah. So, growing up, like, what was your earliest memory you can think of, whether it is puppetry or just art in general?
My like puppetry journey is super new, and I
Hmm.
think it'd be so annoying for me to be like, it's way different than everyone else's. Yeah, it probably isn't. There's probably a lot of people who have a similar journey. So like I can actually tell that story very quickly because I'm probably entering maybe my third year now, like in the world of puppetry, which is really exciting. And it's something that snuck up on me that I never sought out to do or thought I would do. And I always like whenever I hear podcasts with puppeteers, they always say like they saw some show when they're like five and they knew their
Oh
whole
yeah.
life. And my whole life I've never known anything that I would do for my whole life. So yeah, I'm always a little bit jealous of people who see one thing like that's what I want to do forever. For me, it's just a matter of trying. But there was a couple of puppetry productions, one in particular called "Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared." That if you haven't seen it, have you seen that one?
No, I love
I'll
that
send it to you.
title.
It's something I would prefer to say less about because it's the watching it. It's when it happens in the way that it does. It's like that's the experience, and they've made a number of episodes. But the production value is really, really awesome on that. It was really interesting and very super weird. The puppets were really awesome. So they feel in the world of Hensonish, but they've designed these really beautiful worlds. And I remember like 10 or 12 years ago that came online, I was really impressed by that. And then even at that time, I never was like, "Oh, I'm gonna make puppets. I just liked that piece a lot. And then fast forward and then yeah, last of the things. I grew up watching Sesame Street, but and I had like an Elmo and a an Ernie and a Bert and stuff. But I also maybe now this is how this works, where it affected me subconsciously and it snuck in. It was like a
Mhm.
sleeper thing that happened 30 years later or something. But I didn't see it that way at least. But I really love that show. And then yeah, so then fast forward, I do video work now. So my main gig is I direct and DP for video for music, and then also commercial work too. And so I just built some puppets like 2 or 3 years ago, and a friend of mine was doing this really silly music video at the Bob Baker Theater. His name's Nick Campbell. He's an insanely talented bass player, and he had a song called Fancy Jeans, where it's the whole song is like a play on words about having fancy genes, but it's in reference to like having great genetics. And it's a really goofy, silly song. But the Bob Baker Theater built these dancing pairs of jeans, and they like puppeteered their pants so the pants like the flies sing, and it's a really ridiculous video. But at that time, it lined up well because I met people who were puppeteers at the theater, and I just built some, and I was like, "Hey, I have some puppets. Can I show you these? Because I don't know any puppet people." And then they directed me to the Los Angeles Guild of Puppetry and all these other events that were happening. So yeah, in regard to the puppeteering influences and stuff, the list is a little short, and I'm learning a lot now because I'm like really late to all of this. I didn't watch even a lot of Henson productions growing up or anything really. I just didn't think about it, but. So that's the quick puppetry story, which is moderately quick. But then for like art, I've been really lucky my whole life. I think my parents did a really great job at exposing me and my siblings to just different things. So like I took piano lessons for a long time when I grew up, not because anyone in my family played music. I just think my parents were smart enough to have us try stuff. We tried all the sports, and I'm not really good at all the sports, but I had a fun time. And a bunch of different things. Yeah. So we tried a lot of different things, and took music lessons for a long time. And this is kind of how the arts tie in. But I've had a really supportive family forever. I actually ended up going to school at Cal State Northridge for jazz music. So
Oh,
so I have
wow.
a degree in jazz saxophone performance, which I'm very proud of.
So you can play the sax?
That's what I do normally, or that's what I did normally. I don't do it at all anymore. But
Jazz is really interesting too, like as a genre, because isn't it, like all improv?
exactly, it's a largely improvised art form that pulls from it's from a different time. And so like
Yeah.
I love my jazz degree, and I can also acknowledge that it's perhaps not the most modern degree in the world, but it influences what I do what I does and what I do. But yeah, because then right after that, I like I said, I do video for music, and for a large time I was doing video for instrumental music, and classical music, jazz groups and stuff. And over time it's morphed into more commercial and pop music, while still doing some of that other stuff as well too, because I like music. But yeah, so in regards to the arts, I just was really lucky that I was exposed to a lot of things like pretty early, and spending a lot of time doing music in school and playing instruments for a long time was great. And then after that, transitioning into video, and I did photography work and design work for a little bit like that. Then I got to exercise more of the visual side of my brain. And then when you do video for music, it's looking and listening at the same time. So then it's like, and then when you're camera operating, it's looking, listening, and moving at the same time. And then now what's been really fun with puppetry is like learning how to sew, and then learning how to act more because I didn't go to theater school. But learning like those kind of things, like working on singing more because I never really sang much, and I like singing. I'm not a singer, but it's fun to sing.
Mhm.
But yeah, like so it's been cool exploring new skills, and now like sewing and working with material, and like I'm a very tactile person, so getting to feel material is just cool. You get to make something and you put it on your hand, and it exists in the
Yeah.
real world. It's a really nice feeling.
This is so cool. You're just a creative guy. You just have your hand in a lot of different things, and puppetry has just so many elements, like whether it's a live show or on camera. So, like, what made you just be like, I want to build a puppet?
I don't know. I think just trying stuff. I think trying
How
stuff is fun.
interesting. What
Yeah,
was your first puppet you built?
I built a very like Sesame Street, Cookie Monster style character.
Just kind of teach yourself, or did you like follow a video?
No, I followed a video. So there's this really great channel, and like as someone who like never sewed before or worked with a sewing machine and stuff, I do really believe that like anyone can do it, like to a certain extent, and then things get really intense as you learn more techniques that I'm still learning. But there's this really great channel called The Puppet Nerd, that if you just Googled The Puppet Nerd, it was run by someone named Adam Krutinger, who unfortunately just passed this year, but he left behind this huge legacy legitimately of all these people like myself and a lot of friends I've met recently, and everyone that I point to these videos. That is a really great way to start building puppets. And the puppets he builds are for people who are interested in, Sesame Street style, Muppet style puppets. It's just in that world. And so I saw one of those one day. It was like, I think it was around the holidays or something. I was like, it'd be fun to just try to build one of these for a video or just for something, just because. I tell people all the time, if you're interested, you should just try to make one because it like I mean, also in like if you're looking to do puppets, puppets can be expensive because they're hard to make, like at a high professional level. And the more you make them, the more you're like, oh yeah, wow, like this is very like it's like a puppet can take you, I mean, it can take you 1 hour, it can take you 5 minutes, depending on how creative you're getting. Or like there's puppet builds that I've done that have been like 40 or 60 hours. Um, just And that's like why it's people's full-time job. And we don't consider that because we don't know that much about that world because it's
Mhm.
more of a niche world. But the puppetnerd.com is really where I started learning. I built a lot of those puppets, and a lot of my first puppets are all versions of that, or they're like variations on like patterns. Like I think like this is a really cute, simple one that I tell people to start with. It's just a little shark, and
Cute.
it's like a very little like simple guy. But this is one of his patterns that he actually has for free on his site. And like this is if you're just getting into puppets and foam, this is really two pieces of foam, another piece, another piece, another piece, two pieces of plastic, and you can use anything for eyes. This is just also a little foam that's taped on, but very simple puppet, and it
What do
works
you
really
think
well.
is like the most important piece of a puppet? Is it the eyes?
Yeah, I mean for
Make
me
it
it
the
is.
most like lifelike, I guess.
I think it's just the commitment in any regard. You can make any, like, you can make anything a puppet, and I wish I had more things I could make a puppet and do a good example of this. But like, it's the biggest thing is like the reason this will feel good is if it's like doing stuff and where its eyes are. If you kind of mess with that and you kind of you change those things, it not that it's wrong, it just feels a little bit different. And so like, by no means do I think like it starts losing a little bit of life. This is a different character, now it's like a little something, but that was a big thing like the Henson company and I mean any puppet builder will put in is that if you want something to connect, you need to know what it's looking at and what it's thinking at, and because this doesn't have a brain and a whole history of being alive, like knowing what it's thinking about when it's not thinking about stuff is the most important part, and you see that here.
So let's talk about okay, because I stalk and research when I interview my guests. Okay, you won. You're the Handmade Puppet Dreams Film Festival winner for Look It's Spring.
Yay, yeah, I
Yeah,
brought a
okay,
little
that video
little
is
friend.
really funny to me.
Thank you.
It's so clever. Okay, so talk about the origin of the idea,
Yeah,
how it
so
came to be, how you create this music, and yeah, tell me everything about it.
this is like my little friend that I've been bringing around is like this little guy. We did this for people that are unfamiliar that are listening. His little pedals are droopy right now, but um, there was this project that we did called Look at Spring, and there's these really cool things that exist outside of puppetry called 48-hour film festivals.
Mhm.
And what they are is you have 48 hours, typically a Friday night through Sunday night, to create a film, and they define these certain amount of parameters, so you can't make it ahead of time. So like,
Oh, wow.
and every film festival is different, and whoever runs it, the rules are different. So this one was hosted by an organization called Handmade Puppet Dreams, which is a really awesome organization that promotes puppetry, creates events, opportunities, connects puppeteers. They host talkbacks and things. And from time to time, they'll have like really fun events like this that are open to everyone, which is really, really cool. And it's great because this one, for example, is a film festival that was done online. So um, while it is nice to congregate with people in like a theater or a film to see all these, it is cool that we got to see projects from Europe and people were working all over the world with the same theme in mind and all different languages, all different styles of puppetry. And so the rule for this one was you had 48 hours to make a film, and it had to feature a puppet, of course, because it was a puppetry-based film festival. And then they picked a theme, an object, and an action out of a hat or out of like a bowl. That way, it was random to them as well. And you have 48 hours. They revealed it at 6 p.m. Friday, our time, and then it ended. We had to submit the film, digitally by 6 p.m. Sunday. And so you have exactly 48 hours to conceive, film, shoot. If you want to build anything, you don't have to, but you can, and edit that. So the theme was spring. The action was look, which is a pretty easy action, I think, to do with puppets. And then the object was plant. So you had to have a plant in there, just in some regard. Doesn't matter how, it just had to be in there. It's kind of like a watermark if you want to think of it that way. And then something had to look, and then it had to be about spring. And that could be about like a spring coil. That could be about spring, whatever spring. It could be about springing into action, something. So yeah, so then I met with some friends. Our team, this wasn't just my project. It was a four of us. It was myself, Katie Powers, she's a really awesome puppeteer and fabricator and art department person and friend of puppets. My friends, Jenny Baumert and Merlin Showalter, who are not puppeteers, but puppeteered for the first time on that project, which is really exciting. But they're people that I know in the film world. So they're both really talented camera operators and DPs and directors in their own right. And like some of my best friends that I work with. And so I was like, hey, you guys are free this weekend and you want to like make something dumb, we're gonna make this. And so it all lined up like a couple days prior. We the first night we met and just talked about ideas. We just went to the bar around the corner and
Mhm.
just had a drink and we're like, hey, what can we do? And we brainstormed for a bit and then started building some puppets that night. The next day we spent like a lot of time building the set and building the puppets, maybe like 10 hours or something. And then wrote everything, wrote the song, recorded the music, like mixed the music. Most of it's to music, with the exception of some recorded dialogue. Yeah, and then we
It's
filmed it
so
for 2 hours.
funny.
Yeah,
It's
it's really
so
it's
good.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. It was a really fun challenge, and it's cool that people received it well, and the judges said really kind things. And like I said, it was also we had other friends that did other projects, and it was cool seeing their project because it was like completely different than ours.
Maybe
So it's
it's
cool,
something
and
so cute about them. Maybe because it's like it's the fabric or something. I don't know. I just think in the eyes probably.
thanks.
So I'm a dancer, and I'm really intrigued by movement, especially with puppets. So like, do you, obviously you do like hand puppets, but do you have like I don't even know how to describe it, like
Go for it. Marionettes.
marionettes as well, or like have
I
you
I don't. I have like one that I can't use. I haven't practiced any marionette work yet. It's like a completely different world.
right? Okay,
Or it's not a
so
different world, but it's a very different style of operation. Like and great like the bona fide definition of like a really good puppeteer, someone who can you know, bring life into any object. It's like someone that can convince you that like, this water bottle is doing a thing and like can talk, for an extended period of time because it's a character like that. Like in a way that's believable and compelling and maybe makes you feel something. So like for me, for example, like I'm not a specialist, but the thing I do the most is hand and rod puppetry. So it's like characters that like this little flower where you put your hand in it and then you're operating this face with with your hand inside, and the way you'd move hands is you'd have a rod that would control these things.
mm-hmm.
um like I mean, same thing with like this like little guys, like you can see, I mean, everyone's kind of aware of this, but here's another like little friend. But like if we're to control a hand that he has, it's this rod right here.
Yeah.
And so this is one style of puppeteering, as well as like characters that have live hands. So
Ah.
that's like a Cookie Monster style character, or like this guy. Oops, well, his head just fell off. But his head will come back on later. But there's a character that has, arms like Fozzie Bear would, um,
Mm.
or something, or Cookie Monster, and these are called live hand characters because they have a live hand that you can control. And this is like, once again, this isn't a technique that the Henson Company invented. They just are most well known for it. But then like here's the only marionette I have is here, and I'm gonna do the worst job ever at making this work. But of course, like this, and I didn't build this. This came from a game that like Cuphead, if anyone's familiar. But you can see this character. Everything that it has is all controlled, by this very long set of strings and articulations. And this is a very basic marionette. And yeah, I would be the worst person to teach you how to do it.
Wait,
But all the way all these appendages and things articulate is completely different.
like how do you like practice in the mirror to see what your puppet's doing?
Totally. Puppetry, I think, is really great. I mean, this is the case with all art forms where, if you have a means to look back and look at it or just witness it in real time. But like when you're doing monitor puppetry, like in particular, I was
I
gonna get a
love
little scrumpy neck. But like when I'm looking at this guy and I'm talking, I'm looking at him. I'm seeing him in the mirror, like in the thing, and like knowing what he's feeling like and looking like. I can be pretty aware of that. If I start doing the wrong thing, like, or if I just like, or if I don't do anything, I can be like, oh well, he's not doing, like, it doesn't feel. I don't know. It's a weird way of saying, but it's really cool because with puppetry, you get immediate feedback at every single second that you get to look at. So like if I'm
Mhm.
practicing and I'm having him look at me and listen, I'm it's like a human. It's the same way where like if
It's
I was
so
looking at you, you would be reacting, you would be doing things, and so it's feeling how that is and isn't working and like what they do. And a good thing that I did, like I tell people all the time, like I was discussing this with a friend yesterday, but people will like put on a puppet and their first instinct is to like go like this and like get really
Mm,
crazy and start talking. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's important that people play. Like the most important part is like give someone a puppet and don't tell them anything for a little bit
mm,
because they start doing stuff. And like it's equivalent of like if you give someone a guitar and you're like, now play these three chords for me before you do whatever you want to do. I think it's kind of limiting. Like it's really fun to like hand someone a toy and be like, here, have fun with this toy, because they put it on and like you kind of see this moment where they're like, oh, it's like you see what works. And like a really good exercise I tell people is like get the puppet and just have it listen to you. Like you don't even have to talk. So it's like it's one of those things where as you and I are talking, you just think about what you would be doing if this guy was talking and I have to listen to him. I'm thinking now as a human what I would be
Yeah.
doing and vice versa. Because everything is, it starts conversational and subtle, and I've made these mistakes and I've grown through these mistakes, but it's something that you can learn if you're very excited about like being. I mean, I think all the time, like, what are my hands doing in real life? Like I'm thinking about these things, like, am I staring at people too much? Am I blinking too much, or whatever? And like that's a skill that I think translates a little bit well into puppetry, because you can figure this out. And like I would carry a puppet around with me just like anywhere, to a bar or to Disneyland or to my friend's house, and I wouldn't even have it like people are like, are you gonna do a show? I'm like, not really. And like you just bring the little guy out and he's just talking and looking, and like, and they get like a little like happier about that. And there's not much that he's really doing, you know. Also his neck is a little stuffy today, but yeah. And so when you start there, then it opens up a lot of possibilities. Like you don't have to do anything with these hands. A lot of people take the hands and they go crazy and like they do all this
Mm-hmm.
stuff, and like you realize, no, like we don't do that, you know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the times, like we also don't have our hands just like up like this. Like people will get
Mm-hmm.
the hands and they'll just lift them up and they'll hold them up here for a long time, and it doesn't really like it's not how we talk, you know. So if you're looking to build like a connection, like in the way that you and I would talk, like now I'm talking with my hands because I'm thinking about it, but you do the same thing. Or like a really simple way is like if this guy was talking with his hands, like he's gonna barely use this little gesture at the bottom, you know.
Yeah.
And like when he says like me or like you, but it's mostly it's the body accent and how that works,
Yeah.
you know. And so it's thinking about like how we talk, what we accent on, if we're curious, if we're wondering, like, I mean, sometimes you disagree. Sometimes you just like breathe and like, and you just do small things like under, and you check in and you get distracted and you look around. But it's a really good exercise to like just put a puppet on. Any puppet, and every puppet is like super different. Like the thing that I default with this guy, like this guy doesn't have a personality at all. I've used him for a couple different things, but he seems like he agrees a lot, and it's really cute when he's excited. Like,
It's
because
just so cute.
yeah, and
I
he
want
can
like
be
a
like,
puppet. I just want like a puppet.
it's a really cool, like, not even
Hands-on,
childlike, you know.
tactile, like creative activity that I think, yeah, not many people have the
Hmm.
experience to like use or like practice with and play with.
Someone described this to me. I believe it was this really talented puppeteer, uh, Timothy Legas, but he said he's like, we like magic, because it's something that we like it because we don't know how it works, and we like it. And it's like this crazy thing that we don't know how it works that makes us feel something, and we like it because we don't know how it works. Puppetry we like because we do know how it works. It's magic that we do know how it works, and so it's really cool because like when you have a puppet out and it's doing a good job or doing nothing, um, it's cooler to believe it. You know what I mean? Like we
Mhm.
know it's not real. Like we're not fooling anyone. There's no deceivery being done. It's just fun to enjoy.
Is it easier or harder to do
Hmm.
puppetry in the on the camera versus a live show? Are they
I think
similar?
I'm learning about both, and there's different challenges. Like I like doing it on a camera because you get to see, like you're seeing everything in real time. And for people who aren't familiar, when it comes to, and I'm only speaking to one very specific style of puppetry. There's many, like I said, many different ways to go about this. But when you see something like the Muppets or Sesame Street or a hand and rod style commercial puppet, many other productions, you know, have utilized this style. But they call it monitor style puppetry because what we're doing is like, you know, if I'm an actor and I'm looking at the screen and I'm looking at my iPad camera, which is for some reason on this side and not in the center, but I know when I'm looking at the camera, I know when I'm looking away, and I know where everything is relative to me and where I'm going, and like overtime actors, you know, we don't even think about this. We're doing it right now on Zoom, but as a puppet, like you. If I wasn't seeing my hand here and like now I'm not looking at you, I over time I don't know where center is. You know, like you start losing, you know, space for this. And so um yeah, so it's like what we do is when we're shooting, you get a feed of the camera as well. So you know what that's like. So when I leave this frame and this, you know, this shark is here, I know if he's looking, you know, straight, I know if he's looking, you know, over to the side, because like it's a silly thing to say, but like this shark can't see. And so
Mhm.
if I'm not
Your
there and
eyes for the
something
shark.
happens, yeah, it's so the camera becomes eyes. And what's really cool about that is you're not only seeing how your character is reading on screen, but you're directing in real time at all time the character, and you're seeing what it's doing. And then you can figure out what's working and what they're thinking, like, and how they're, you know, where the space is, and you know if they're going back, like how that reads in frame, and how they're coming back in, how they're looking. And it's a very like feedback based work, and it's cool. So you get to see all of that in real time, and you're constantly directing and like judging it. And I like that about monitor puppetry because it directly informs What you're saying is what the audience sees, and that's the way you see it. With theater puppetry, it's a different challenge because it's similar, but you're not seeing that, and so you have to be more spatially aware. And so, like when I do theater puppetry, even with someone like Natalia, because I started in monitor puppetry, and this is not how I think a lot of puppeteers do it, but like I still set up a camera in the audience because I like knowing relative to the audience what I'm looking at or what they're seeing of me. And there's a way to do it without. And for hundreds of thousands of years, it's been done without that. It's just something that makes me feel more comfortable. So it depends. And like the space, like you're when you're in a theater. Some puppeteers are really adamant about, hiding the puppeteer, like being invisible, being a character. Some don't mind because, like I said, like if you see me holding a puppet, and puppet's always more interesting than the person. That's a big belief in many, puppeteers. But so they come with different challenges. Like, when you're doing something live, you have to do it once. You're doing it when it happens, and it has to happen live. But that's the same challenges that any performer, would face. And so it's just a matter of how technical you want to make it, whether you're hiding yourself, you're moving yourself. With bigger puppets that require, bigger motion. Like what I'm showing you are all very small hand puppets, and there's smaller versions that are then controlled by mechanisms and stuff because you can't get your hand inside of them. And then there's massive version of puppets, like Big Bird is an easy
That's
example.
a crazy.
Um,
Yeah, I've seen like a documentary about how he's like
yeah.
built.
And as things get bigger, it's one figuring out how to manipulate and navigate this larger character safely, number one most importantly, but then also expressively, and then in a way that's sustainable. Like because you're in this huge suit that's going to make you hot, and you're doing things that our bodies weren't necessarily designed to do for long periods of time. And how do you make that musical? Like when you see Big Bird dance or when you see Big Bird roller skate, it's like insane because like I can't roller skate in real life, but someone who can't see outside of a character can roller skate relative to a camera feed they're receiving inside of it. So yeah, it's a very body aware art form.
I love it. I love hearing your passion for it because again, I feel like not many people.
Hmm.
No, I feel like puppetry's always been around, but not many people like think about it or want to. I just want to know more.
The thing that I'm really happy about this, and I think this is like something I learned more so as an adult, but it's like when you start doing things, you're bad at them. That's how starting doing things is, and what's really helped me do more things and be less bad at them is starting them sooner. Because everyone, when they're old, they're like, the thing I regret is I didn't start this earlier. And I'm like, oh, just start it now because the first 100 things you make are bad. Like not bad. They're just not as you'll always look back and be like, dang, those were not that good. And that's like part of it. And like if you can learn to let that be part of the process. Like, don't go out making things like I'm gonna make bad things on purpose, but like be okay knowing like when I look back at my first pieces I made them like and my first puppets, I still have them and I love them for a certain reason. Like these aren't that good for a million billion reasons, but like I've made like last year I wanted to I made like close to like 60 puppets or 50
Oh my
puppets, like
God.
of like small, nothing crazy, but like a bunch of things. And in that time I learned like a lot. Like what and I was kind of doing the same thing over and over again. I wasn't being crazy innovative. I wasn't like whatever. It's when I had time. It's something I enjoyed doing also, which is important. You know what I mean? Like it didn't feel like I was working. It just felt like I was doing something. But yeah, but in that, like I learned a lot. Like and like carrying a puppet with me every day was just a small way where like if there was an opportunity for it to pop out or take out and do something, I learned a lot. And like when I look at videos and even photos of me doing that like a year and a half ago, like I'm like I can see what I wasn't thinking about yet. And I'm only thinking about it more because I brought it somewhere where I either learned on my own or someone's like, hey, you should think about this. And like in any art form, it just showing, I'm like, yeah, just put out stuff. Like, like,
Because then you learn
I'm,
from it and grow from it. You won't know until
yeah,
you try, as they say. As cliche as
yeah.
it is, it's so true. It's
Try
like,
it and do a whatever job, and then you get better at it. Like you're never, no one's ever good at anything in the beginning ever. And I'd rather get like the not being good at it, like not out of the way, but like I'd rather start that now. You know what I mean? Because then
yeah,
maybe in 5 years I'll be like really good at it. That kind of
yeah.
thing. And that really is exciting to me. So.
How is the industry, puppetry industry here? Like, how would you describe, like, is it like a huge industry here? Is it competitive? Like, what's your vibe?
I think it's something like, and I think my perspective on this has been informed by like the two other iterations of the things I did. So, like when I was in music school, I was studying jazz with the intention of being like a jazz performer, which, like, if you look at it from an outside lens, is a relatively niche world, as is everything. And when you're in it, you realize there's a million people in it. And so, puppetry feels like that same thing. Like I do video work, and that world actually is doesn't seem small. It is huge. But there's a lot of different subgenres and categories of people and stuff. And I think in LA or in anywhere, it's really easy to think that like something is so small it would never exist, or that things are too big and you could never fit into it. And I don't think either of those things are true. I just think you have to once again do them. The difference between people that are doing stuff and not doing stuff is the people that are doing stuff are doing stuff, usually more stuff, and maybe that's afforded by time or something. But yeah, so for puppetry, it's been really nice because like the way I got in, like I said, is I did a music video for a friend that was at the Bob Baker Theater and met some puppeteers there. And the best way I got in and learned how to start was the Los Angeles Guild of Puppetry, which is a guild of puppetry. It's for anyone. You don't have to be a professional puppeteer because I wasn't and still am not sometimes. But it's for puppet enthusiasts, people who just really love marionette work. They love that. They just love. There's a lot of people who just love the Muppets and like seeing events that are there from time to time, people who saw Pee-wee's Playhouse once and like wanted to know more about just puppetry. There's people who have been performing, for their entire lives, or like were apprentices of some of the greatest puppeteers who ever lived. It's a great conglomeration of anyone. And if you're watching this outside of LA, they're all around the US. And if you're in different countries, there are also organizations in different countries too. You just have to seek them out. I would just look up local guild, local community, local puppet organization. There's ones in Denver, Texas, Florida, New York, of different sizes and scales. But Los Angeles Guild of Puppetry is just great because it's introduced me to a lot of live shows and things that they put on. They'll have workshops, of which I've taken as many as I can because it's just great to learn. And then you meet other people. So like we once a month we have a thing called Puppets, Donuts, and Coffee, where on it's the second Sunday of every month, and we meet and we just have donuts and coffee and talk about puppets, and that's it. It's not like a competition or an agenda. That there's people that there's children that show up to that just because they're interested in puppets, or they're coming with their parents, or like they built a puppet once and want to build a puppet. And so the world is small when you look at it from the outside, but when you're in it, you realize like, oh, maybe right now there's not a lot of commercial positions for puppetry, and a lot of these people are the ones that are auditioning for it. But it's good to know these people, and I do believe that like becoming friends with these people is better than becoming any enemies with them. In Los Angeles, to describe the scene, which I'm still learning about, my perspective is that out here there tends to be a bit more commercial work, inherently, just because it's like Hollywood-ish. That's not, textbook commercials and stuff with puppetry productions are filmed everywhere because puppetry is a special effect and it's part of the art department and that's part of everything. And so when people have an idea, if there's not a puppeteer, someone or a specialist, the art department people usually step in, and that's a similar interesting common ground they share. So I've met a lot of really talented people that primarily work on art department, but are puppeteers or puppet builders because like their job called for character design, and while they never sought out to be a puppeteer or a puppet builder, they know how to manipulate an object, they know how to get a good shot, and they've worked in many productions to make their product read well. So LA is a lot of that. There's a lot of theater stuff as well, but in New York I found there's a lot more theatrical use of puppets and puppeteering, and there's more networks and communities that they'd see more fleshed out for theatrical and live performance. But and then Chicago has that as well. But all these communities, it's very amorphous and like fluid in that, like, when a commercial pops up, it could be in LA or it could be in Washington or something. And so I think it's good to, if you're a puppet person, I think it's just good to, wherever you are, just let it be known that you do that.
Puppeteering is cool. Okay. Get on the bandwagon.
It's
People.
very cool. That's everywhere.
Before we do rapid fire questions, I gotta ask, because we talk about puppeteering, but you're also like in the filming and director role. How was it? Tell me how you got this gig with Sabrina Carpenter. I need to know, like, that's a cool little gig you got.
Yeah, so for the last like 10 years, I've been doing video for music. Like I said, primarily performance-based stuff. And I was given a really awesome opportunity in just regards to the Sabrina Carpenter thing. This is like right before she extremely blew up. She was already big, of course. She had an acting career. I was a bit less familiar with her, admittedly, at the time. But yeah, she was a really awesome performer. And so a production company called Riverside Entertainment, they're really great, Nashville and LA based production company. It specializes in commercial and music as well. Had asked me to direct the capture of that concert, which is exciting. I've done a couple things like that. At that time, never to that scale because it was like a full live audience. But I also had all my best friends on the camera team. So we built out like a perfect camera team, and the show went perfectly. Like it was really awesome. I met her very briefly. She was very nice. She's a really talented live singer, actually. I got to go to the rehearsals and stuff, and she sounds great, and her band is really, really awesome. But yeah, it's like my friend who was a drummer was on drums. My friend who was a bassist was covering bass. Like we had a really awesome jib and all these other things. People I've worked with a bunch of times, and that's like the most important part is like I work with my friends because I love them,
People
but
you
they're also,
trust too.
yeah, they're just good and they get me and vice versa, and I get them, and it makes it easier for everyone. So yeah, I've been really lucky over time as the roster has like increased and gone up, and like the credits list, which isn't like ever the priority, but it of course it helps when people are like, oh, you did that, well maybe you can do this. Like that's a really cool thing. So that was a really fortunate just string of events of a number of great projects before that. Like I do think when it comes to video, like I have like one of the coolest jobs ever. Like I get to get more often than not, I get a concert where I'm the only attendee of like my favorite artist ever or whatever. Like one of my favorite things to this day, which like there's no even way to brag about this, but it's like, do you know that the Teddy Swims Lose Control song?
So
You hear
good.
that?
Wait,
Yeah,
you worked
we
on that?
so my Alex, my production partner, he directed and DP'd that, but I cam opped the one take for that. So like and that I think that's like so he has the live video on YouTube, which now is like sitting at like 200 million views or something crazy. But in my head, I'm like, man, it's cool. I was like the only one and the first one to watch that, and it was
Wow.
that good. And like, but I'm doing it with a big camera rig and stuff like that. And now, like, to think that like so many people have watched that and resonated with that, it's not because of the video. It's because Teddy's awesome. The video just happened to be awesome as well. But there's been a lot of instances where I'm like holding the camera, and like, first of all, you got to worry about doing a good job because if you mess up, then no one gets a video.
Mhm.
But then you're like, man, like it's really cool being like, I get to hear all these artists that I love, and it's been really cool as we've had more opportunities because of people who have trusted me and vice versa. I'm really thankful for that. It's, by no means was it just me being good at stuff. It's just people trusting me. But yeah, like really a lot of really cool concerts and artists and stuff and things. So that led to Sabrina and a lot of other things that I probably should post more about. I'm really bad at posting video work. But it's really, really cool. And people, they're like, when are you gonna quit video and do puppets? And I'm like, never. That's not the point. Like, I just like making stuff, it's
Yeah.
fun making things, and you meet a lot of really cool people through that, and all my video friends are helping me with puppet stuff now, which is cool. So, and
You
vice versa.
inform each
So,
other. It's just you're
yeah.
just making your world bigger for more things, more creative things, which I think I'm excited to see what else you continue to do because I'm always drawn to like really like people making their own things, just like doing all that. So,
Likewise. So,
before we go, are you ready for some rapid fire questions?
I am.
Favorite Muppet?
I think a quick answer is probably I like Dr. Teeth a lot, but
Really?
I don't have a good explanation, but I like Dr. Teeth a lot. He's cool. I should know more about him.
I like Janice, I'm not gonna lie. Just
I didn't like Janice as a kid at all. Like for some reason, I don't know why her eyes scared me. Now I like her a lot. But
for
remember as a
sure,
kid,
for
that
sure.
was the one where I was like, I don't want to see that one. There's like a couple ones I just did not like seeing, but I think right now it's
Oh, and
Dr. Teeth.
Pepe. Oh, I love Pepe. Sorry, this is
Pepe's
not a rapid
awesome.
fire question, but I just see
No, no, it's good.
saying
This is a fair
Pepe.
question for anyone though. Everyone drop it in the comments or something. Drop your favorite Muppet. So, and Kermit, yeah, Kermit, of course. I mean, Kermit's like the end all be all, but I feel like that's a non-creative answer, but it's the best answer. But I think Dr. Teeth is a weird one that I like whenever he pops up. And the new Electric Mayhem series on Disney Plus is actually done really, really well. You get to see a little bit more about Dr.
Yeah.
Teeth there, so that's fun. Long answer, sorry.
No, no, I like these. I added more as I've been listening to you. Best jazz club in LA.
The best jazz club in LA is coming back. So it was called the
Okay.
Blue Whale. There's a couple, there's two that I'll name real quick just because I think it's important to shout them out. But the Blue Whale Jazz Club was like the pinnacle jazz club in LA on the West Coast for a long, long time. It was in Little Tokyo. It unfortunately closed during the pandemic, but is reopening and in a new iteration, I believe next year. And so really excited about that because that was a really important creative space. And I worked there and I grew up there so much, like in my own career and my friends' careers and stuff. But Blue Whale Jazz Club will open up probably as a different name next year. But there's also a really great club that's not stepped in, but opened around that time when that closed called Sam First, which is really close to LAX. And there's a lot of really, really, really great jazz programming there. So my bias is very heavily leans towards those because they're run by really great people and they feature really great artists and it's very diverse music and it's done very, 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 very well. So
I really want to go to jazz club, have a drink, and just like vibe. Favorite ride at Disneyland?
at Disneyland, it's like just Disneyland the park or all the Disney things. I go to Disney too much, so I have a lot of opinions.
Both.
I think right now probably the most fun one for me. I like the that Guardians of the Galaxy ride. It's like the one that reskinned the Tower of Terror ride, which
Mhm.
I like Marvel stuff. I don't get what the plot about that ride is at all, but it's just a fun ride and you feel butterflies in your stomach and we yell out and it's great.
Dark Crystal or Labyrinth?
I think probably Dark Crystal. And I yeah, my dad loved Dark Crystal and when I was growing up, and I did not like it because it was like scary and weird,
Scary.
and I didn't like that at all. I didn't even think about puppets. I just like these are all scary. And then I actually only saw Labyrinth for the first time like last year. They did the 40th release. I'm late to all of this stuff. Like I said, I didn't know about any of this. But Labyrinth is really, really cool, and it's like the Henson Company flexing on like they can puppeteer everything in the whole world, and David Bowie's awesome. But I'm actually interested in re-exploring more of the Dark Crystal stuff now because I've learned a lot more about it. But they're both really, 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 really cool, and they both feel like sisters in a way or something like that. But I
Yeah.
think right now it's probably Dark Crystal, but that could change. So,
LA's best kept secret.
oh God, just for anything at all.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, I will say just because I'm fresh off of it right now, there's this really awesome series of shows run through the Henson Company. It's about puppetry. It's called Puppet Up. If you haven't heard about it, it's they seem to have it every 4 to 5 months. Right now, it's actually happening. I don't think this episode may not come out in the time, but just keep an eye on the Henson Company. It's called Puppet Up, and it's 2 hours of completely improvised puppetry done by like the world's best puppeteers that all work for the Henson Company. I've seen the show 4 times this week. I've seen it many times after. I bring a lot of friends. It's such a random night where even if you're not a puppet person, but especially if you are, it's hilarious. I've brought so many different groups of family members and friends and stuff. And yeah, it's run by Brian Henson, who's Jim Henson's
Oh,
son.
that's
It's all puppets built within the Henson Company. It's all improv. It's for adults, so it's like it's not vulgar and disgusting, but it's like not for children. They get to explore stuff that you wish puppets talk about, and it's cool because you get to see the puppet show, happening at the monitor, but they also have all the puppeteers performing in front of the camera. So
oh
it's like two
nice.
shows in one. So it's a show that whenever it comes through, I get really excited and tell everyone, I'm like, you should come to these things. And I've never had someone not walk away with that show being like, this is the weirdest thing I've ever seen, and it was so amazing. So Puppet Up by the Henson Company. You might have missed it by the time this episode's out, but it'll be back probably in like 4 or 5 months. So check that out.
My goal is to get way into that creature shop. Just to, I want a
Me
tour.
too.
I need
Me
to
too.
know.
Me too. I know. I'm trying to meet people that are there. It's supposed to be a crazy place.
If you could collaborate with anyone, who would it be and why? Whether it is puppetry or not.
I'll think on that for 1 sec. I'll come back to that one because there'll be a good answer that'll be really proud. Oh no, I know. Sorry, this is easy. It's Bo Burnham. That would be that's a person. Yeah, it wouldn't be. It probably wouldn't be puppetry because that's not his thing. I think, but that's like the only person I fanboy over at all in any capacity.
What is one thing or person that you'd make a puppet from? That makes sense?
Like in their likeness, like make something
Yeah,
of someone's
yes.
likeness. Oh man,
Yeah.
it probably have to be some like uh it it probably have to be something like a video game character or something, and really it probably just because of the Nintendo character. There's this really obscure character. I haven't thought about this that much, but there's this game that's less obscure now called Super Mario RPG that was on the Super Nintendo, which is a really fun Mario RPG. And there's two characters that were released named Malo and Gino that never really came back into the Nintendo lexicon of the classic cast we know now, Mario, Luigi, Yoshi, and all of them. They did re-release it on the Switch, which is really exciting. But those two characters are just very unique, and they were designed very specifically. And so that's a really weird and I feel like indie answer. But Mario or sorry, Malo or Gino from Super Mario RPG would be a fun challenge. Recreating characters and building other people's characters is really hard, though.
I can
And
imagine.
so, I mean, it's something I should practice and learn how to do. But it is hard building things that people recognize and then
Mm.
making them feel good because people have so many opinions on how their favorite characters feel. So I'm always a little intimidated by like building something that already exists, and that's probably part of the job. So I'll work on it. But
I love it. And then lastly, when you're not busy with everything that you're doing, what do you like to do for yourself?
I get to hang out with my friends, and that's like really basic. But the cool thing is right now, like puppetry isn't my full-time gig. So and video is, and it's really cool because when I'm puppetry is slowly turning into work for me, and it's really exciting to do that. And I like having assignments, but it is actually really, I'm still in that phase right now, or I hope it's not a phase actually, but I'm just making more stuff. Like I'm making more, I'm just sewing a new character or like trying to learn something or like learning how to dye material. So like I
Mm.
like playing video games, which is fun from time to time. I'll go through big waves of that. I have a really awesome support group and network of friends that we just like celebrating and going to shows and seeing each other or barbecuing or just hanging out or being stupid. That's really, really fun. But if it was just me by myself, sometimes it's like learning a song on guitar or like just learning a new puppet building thing. Because sewing to me is like really fascinating and it just takes a lot of time. So it's cool. You get to like watch a TV show and sew a thing, and when it's done, then you're like, wow, it's done. And even if it's not meant for anything, you learn it and someone likes it, and you could keep the character, make a video, or sell it. So right now, and then yoga. Yoga is the best thing of all time because
Namaste.
when you're doing like when you're sewing a lot and you're puppeteering a lot and you're camera
Oh
operating a lot, these
yeah.
are all things that destroy your body. And I was exercising my whole life, but I wasn't doing specifically yoga. And a friend introduced a lot of my friend group to yoga, and every day I'm not working, I do that because I do feel like my body is gonna fall apart from like holding puppets up high and cameras and stuff, just because it's all physical work, you know.
Damn. Yeah, I can imagine. Namaste. We love yoga. We love
It really,
Shavasana.
yeah, I cannot recommend it enough to anyone. Even if you're someone who's just sitting at a computer, like you need it the most because that's like really that just will destroy your body. You know, like everything destroys your body. It's part of being alive. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on. This was so great. I love your puppets. It's so great to talk to you and hear your journey. Make sure to follow Ricky on his Instagram at Reichmind, Rikemind.
yes, that's it. Thank you so much. It was really great talking to you. I talk a lot and I talk really fast. Like I said,
No,
I'm
I
cool
love
with that.
it.
Cool with anything
I
that was said.
understood.
So
I got
yeah.
you. I got what
Yeah,
you're putting down.
do stuff, and make stuff, and put it somewhere and show people. That's like my favorite thing in the world. And anytime this is my last bandstand thing, but people are always like, "Oh, all these great things are. This is so awesome. This is great." And I'm like, the only way you know I exist is because I made something and did something. And like, if you're sitting on a song or like a puppet or anything or a piece of choreo or a film, like, man, just put it out, share it with someone. The internet will forget about it if they don't like it, or like six people will remember and it'll change their life. Make stuff, put it out, make cool things. You should do it. Cool things are cool. So,
Period. Mic drop.
yay.
Well, thank you everyone to listening in, and stay tuned for another episode next month. Yeah.
Nice talking with you. I'll see you soon.